Okay. Good evening. I'm going to call to order the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for July 18th, 2018. The first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of the June 20th meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from the June 20th meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Any concerns, corrections, comments?
They're already incorporated.
Already incorporated? Okay, great. Yeah, I saw it. Thank you, Tim. As usual, you made some nice changes there. So, all right. If there are no further concerns, I will make a motion to approve the minutes, the draft minutes of June 20th, 2018. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right, carried. All right, the next order of business is new business, and it's on the Van Meeteren matter. And if someone is here for that, I assume you were here for that?
Terrence Boylan.
Okay, Terrence. Mr. Boylan, have you been through this process before?
I've observed it.
Okay. All we're going to ask you tonight to do is to come on up and to, if you have your props, which it looks like you do, have put your props up on the easel or wherever is convenient, and really just explain to us what you want to do so that we can determine whether the application is sufficient. That's all we're doing now, is just to figure out whether we have enough information to reasonably consider your application.
Right up.
And if we need more information, we'll let you know. Right there is fine. And keep your voice up, announce yourself, so Fred can get you on.
I'm a little tall, so.
Feel free.
Good evening.
Good evening. So,
By the
Mr.
way,
Boylan,
not to ingratiate myself, but I've been sitting on a few boards myself, so I appreciate what you guys do and how much you have to commit in time to do this.
Well, thank you. So anyway, just let us know. We've read the submission, but if you could just go through it with us and generally tell us what you want to do.
Okay, the estate is actually two combined estates, and the farmhouse on it is the old farmhouse on what used to be called Orlot. This picture is an artist rendering of what it would look like with a wing on it, and what you can see in some of the packages I gave you is a picture of the existing house with the back wing. So if you open your folders, on the left-hand side, there's a photo of the house. There you go, with, exactly.
Yeah, one is how it exists
That's it.
currently, the first one.
This is the current house, right. So what you're looking at is a little, what you're looking at is a small back wing that was a shed. And in that sense, the narrative of this is self-beginning because the shed is rotting. If you'll notice the pitch of the roof, was a kind of a salt box shed in the back. And it was a chicken coop at one time, I think, with a well pump in the middle. And the present wing off the back was built in 1960. The house was built in 1790. So the pitch of the roof caused, with our ice flow melt and freeze and melt, there's a lot of ice flow, and when it comes under the shingles, it runs down the back wall, and now the back wall is, I can almost punch my fist through parts of it. I've replaced the window frames twice. They were like peat moss, but it's definitely time to take that old wing off. The narrative then became simple for me, which is the cost of replacing that wing, which contains my kitchen and the only bath in the house. So that's the kitchen and the bath, that's it. And it's also double duties as a laundry room. The cost of replacing that wing, or replacing that wing with a sunroom, was about $270,000 to $290,000 for replacing the wing, versus about $350,000 for adding that sunroom. I couldn't resist that cost benefit. It was just too great. I mean, to have something that's going to be quite majestic. And there was a second consideration. The main house is a post and beam, and it's absolutely beautiful. We took the siding off once. They're huge, massive beams. The wing that I'm building imitates the structure of that house. I found a company in New Hampshire that will make beams just like that. So the sunroom is actually going to be open frame, post and beam. I have a picture of the prototype if you'd like to see it. So basically what I'm getting is my kitchen that exists now open to a sunroom in the back.
Now, I know there's multiple structures on the property,
Correct.
and we have this one very large map, and if you could, I know you told me that some of the structures still exist, and some don't, so maybe you can help us. We can all gather around.
The property is 1.1 square miles, on which there are
600
two...
acres?
Pardon?
Is it 600 and some acres?
670. Actually, if you count the amount of land that Ileana owns underwater, which is it's about 710, but I'm not sure what the town assesses it at.
Well, it's 600 plus acres.
It's 600 plus. It's because some of the water under the Merit land grant, underwater land is considered part of it. But in any case, it's basically two manor houses,
Okay,
the meadows, down to Ileana's dwelling.
okay. So what structures, what structure are we talking about first, as far as,
Right.
Right there.
The little farmhouse in the corner.
so that's where you want to do the
Exactly.
addition, right here?
So here's the house, and there's the little wing behind it.
And that's a separate lot, this 67.22 acre lot.
There's a 56 acres, actually, that, you mean a
Okay.
separate, how many, what is this house?
No, is that a separate
Is that
parcel?
part of all of this, or
No,
is that
it's
separate?
all one
It's all
parcel.
one.
It's all one parcel, okay.
Okay.
Because then we might not be dealing with
Right.
accessory structures.
Right.
Because it's all one parcel.
If this was just one structure on one parcel, we
56
wouldn't,
acres, we wouldn't even be talking about.
we
this?
wit's talking about anything.
Okay, correct, so,
So,
no,
but it's all one.
parcel.
Okay. Actually, it says 681.95 acres here.
Right,
There you go. There's someone somewhere.
plus the underground, which is a separate lot. but-
Okay, so this is where you intend to build. What structures are still on the property and what's going on?
Okay, there's a manor house here
Okay,
with a barn and a shed. These two have fallen down.
okay, so this is out.
I believe, I can check on that for
Okay.
you. but Basically, what we have is a manor house here, then we have Ileana's house, which is, I need my glasses to see this. This is Ileana's house. That's the main, no, sorry, this is Ileana's house. This is the main house. This is the carriage house. This is a stone carriage house. This is the caretaker's cottage.
Okay, so that's still there.
This silo has fallen down, but...
Is it still of any
It's
use?
No, it's a ruin.
Okay.
This is a beautiful old stone Dutch roof barn that's still viable. And then Marie's, these two barns are both solar roofed hay barns.
Okay, but there's structures?
Yes, they're there.
Okay,
This house is a rental property, and it's still
Okay.
there.
all right.
And then that's it. Now, over on this side, the old Chandler residence, if you're familiar with it, you remember that, Jim Chandler? That's here, and what, the pool is definitely there. This cottage, yeah, it's still there, it's like a pool house. One or both of these are gone, but there is still a little barn tractor shed.
Okay.
Okay, and there's me. That's it, pretty much it.
Okay, I'm just trying to get an idea of how many structures are on the property. I know it's a vast structure, a vast property, but,
Right. It's really, I think it's two main houses, a farmhouse and a stone house, and five barns.
okay.
And then the rest are sheds. all of the sheds, see this remains?
Right,
Gone,
gone,
gone. Hurricane finally blew that down and we just shoveled it away.
okay.
Took it into the woods and buried it. That's it?
But we're really talking, your addition is on that building.
Is on that building, yeah.
Right. and
So it's not
that's-
changing the
that's
number
this
of
house.
accessories.
It's not changing the number of accessories, it's just expanding, because I think you're already over, and it's going to be a little bit more.
Right,
And I'm trying to get the magnitude of, 600 acres
Right.
can accommodate more accessory structures.
My setback actually.
I think so.
8 months of the year, I'm not even visible, so I mean, if I had built this stealthily, nobody would find out about it until, a long time. But the point is that it's not visible here,
Right.
and it's only visible here in the winter. So this wing actually isn't going to upset any neighbors or anything, and the size of it, I think, is too good to resist to make something that is, I think, going to be beautiful in the tradition of this house. I'm getting old. Somebody, young family's going to move into this, I'm doing them a favor too, I think.
All right, well, I just wanted to, again, get a handle on how many accessory structures there were. You have a lot of land, so.
Yeah.
It's largely open land.
It'd be different if it was on an acre,
Would
but
be
it's on
different.
600.
I bet it would.
All right, so, do we have any other questions or concerns? I appreciate the renderings.
You're going to have the kitchen and the bathroom that you have now, and then a sunroom in this addition.
Exactly. The bathroom now, you're not going to believe this, for 40 years, when I go to the bathroom now, I have to go downstairs, there's no plumbing on the second floor. The pitch of that roof is now going to be properly pitched, so there will be a bathroom on the second floor next to my bedroom, and that's a huge thing for me. So where the kitchen was, will be a kitchen and a pantry, and upstairs now, the one bath that's downstairs will now just move upstairs.
Oh, okay, okay.
Just
Yeah, I know that house from the outside.
All right, I don't have any more questions. I just wanted to get the lay of the land, so to speak.
Okay, this is your copy.
This is my copy, and Chris, can we have another copy made?
Oh, do we want a floor plan?
If you would like a floor plan, you can certainly ask for it, that's fine. I mean,
Right.
the renderings are fine by me,
Want to have a
but
look?
Yeah.
now, have these all been supplied to, are they part of the file?
Yes.
Okay.
But,
Not all of them, okay.
Right, I waited and see what you're asking me. There's a...
Oh, that's nice.
map
Okay,
of the-
yeah.
Of the parcel showing what's still there, but this is existing.
And that's going away.
This is my house, and this is what we have now.
All right,
This is what
okay.
we'll have now. It actually goes out to about there. So we'll be applying for a demo permit for this shed, which is about like that. This is exactly like my existing kitchen. This is the same size. This is the bath now.
All right.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, and this is the dining room, and I always hated having a bathroom off the dining room. So now this bathroom will be up above that using the same soil stack, and this will be a walk-through pantry to the kitchen.
Nice.
Very
And
nice.
this is a great room, our open eating area and great room. And it's a sunroom, and it will be open beam, so that when you come in the front door, you'll be looking straight back to a fireplace, and it should be really cool.
Can you supply us with a copy of all of these documents? I don't know that we have them all.
I have this one.
Just a copy. Just a copy, one copy, I think it should suffice, don't you?
Yeah.
For the- Well, you need
If it's
one.
extra, is it okay with you? I mean,
Sure,
If you have an extra one, that's fine, we'll take it.
yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, so we can make that part of the record.
Very good.
And that way, show something.
Do we have a volunteer, by the way, for this project?
Either way, I'm good.
Well, you just did a couple,
I
didn't you?
have another one
This
that
is
I'm,
the company.
You have another one? Do you want to, Tim, are you up for it, or?
I'll just soon wait till I finish with the one I'm on.
Oh, okay, okay, I'll give it to Richard.
can I help?
We'll do it together.
This is the company that's making the beams that made me up a prototype. That's what the...
Wow.
Chris, can I bequeath this to
Very nice.
whoever is going to be doing the resolution?
All right,
Okay,
we'll put
so
it with,
I'll give this to
Chris,
Kathy.
I'll give you this to you.
So you can imagine that this is what you're looking at from me standing...
And does this go to Chris, Scott?
That's for you. It's going to be part of the file copy, but if you guys are going to be doing the resolution, you should probably have it.
Yeah.
I'll have it, and if anyone
You'll
wants
have
it,
Okay.
The only thing I
I'll
want
make
to
you
add
right along.
is that having lived there for 40 years in this same house, and I've restored it twice, rotten sills and stuff, that I've spent an awful lot of time going up and down those stairs dreaming about how I would do this. This is not a quick thought. I put together what I thought would honor this house, which I love so much, but it will be as though it were always there. That's
Great.
my goal.
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the request is just for one variance, and that is to increase the square footage for the accessory structures. Currently existing is 2,000, if I'm reading this right. The requested is 4105. It's adding 1732 to the existing 2,373 square feet for the combined accessory structures.
How many for the combined?
So it's a net
Combined.
gain of 1,700, right?
It's adding 1,700. Currently, right now, the existing you have, according to the application, all of the accessory structures come to 2,373 square feet.
Well, it's one accessory structure,
One accessory structure, yeah.
and that's the maximum for exceeding the maximum for
Correct.
one accessory structure.
Right.
One, it's not over.
Right.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So we don't count all
So
those
it's not
5 barns?
No, because that would be...
No, I think you just count this one in particular, but it's already over. And
Okay.
he's adding more on to
Right.
it. And so that's really what we're talking about. So the total, if I'm reading the application correctly, is 4105. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yes.
So it's an additional 1,700 from what you already have.
Right.
Okay?
You take away what I have, and then the total new addition, which is 30 by 40, so three,
Right.
and then subtract what I had from that, and we have a net gain of 1,700.
Yeah, I think I
Right.
understand. Those numbers are all about the structure that we're discussing.
Correct.
Yes.
But do we need to have a number in the variance about the aggregate accessory dwellings? Or I mean accessory structures?
It doesn't change.
Yeah, I
It's
don't,
going back to that same
I think that's all
question.
grandfathered. No, that's not the correct term.
yeah, I had a meeting with John and Kimberly, and they did not seem to think that we needed to consider the other accessory structures. I was just asking
Okay.
them about where they were, because I wanted to, yeah, I knew it's a large piece of property,
Right.
but I wanted to know where the other structures were and what they consisted of and that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
they were satisfied that this was all,
That
was
really
adequate.
needed. Okay. Very good.
Also, they, in reviewing the application, suggested that this is a type 2 action under seeker, and specifically under 617.5C13, which is a granting of an area variance for a single-family residence. In reviewing the section with them, I think that's appropriate, so I would make a motion that we deem this to be a type 2 action under 617.5C13.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Going through the referrals, Dutchess County Planning does not have to be, we don't have to inquire of them, they don't have to review this. The Planning Board, of course, has to, so a referral has to be made to them. The CAB does not have to be involved, but the WAC has to be involved because you go right to the river, correct? So referral has to be made out to the WAC. Catherine and Richard, you guys are going to work on this
Yes.
together? Okay, so that'll be the assignment?
I'm a mile from the river shore, but the property has a mile of Hudson River shorefront.
Yeah, it was, so we definitely have to refer it to them.
And I filled out those applications too.
Right. Do any of the board members have any questions, concerns, requests for more information?
Nope.
Okay. I think the application is very complete, and I thank you for that in the renderings. We don't always have that luxury, so I thank you. And with that, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the application as complete and that we set up a public hearing for the next meeting date, August 15th. Are you able to be here on August 15th? Okay. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay. What'll happen next is that your neighbors will be notified of a public hearing, which will be in August on the 15th, and then you'll come here and basically give the same presentation, and they'll be able to ask questions of you if someone shows up, and you can answer their concerns, and that's the process.
Okay. And then what happens after that?
After that, depending on whether we close the public hearing or not, if we close it that evening, we have 62 days from the 15th in order to render a resolution, either granting the variance or not granting the variance. Typically, we're pretty good about having a resolution by the next meeting, which would be in September. So that's probably the way it's going to go. We'll have the public hearing. I mean, there's only one variance here. And, so we'll have the public hearing on the 15th of August. Most likely, although I can't promise you, we'll probably close the public hearing unless there's other things that develop. And then probably by the next meeting date in September, we'll have a resolution for you.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So, by the way, Michael Tripple's office has a copy of that, but you guys are separate. That will now go in your record?
Yes, it'll probably stay in town hall.
Stay here, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
To say the least. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Here we go.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice evening,
Thank you.
and thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next on the list, that's it for new business. We have two public hearings. First is Palucci. Is someone here for the Palucci matter? Come on up.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
very good, how are you?
Could you please state your name for the record?
Certainly. Thomas Palucci,
Okay. And Mr. Palucci, I think you were here the last time, as I recollect,
I was,
and you told us what you wanted to do.
correct?
Now you get to do it for the camera and get it to do it for the public. Is there anyone here for the Palucci matter? Palucci case? Okay, well, anyway, if you can just
Very good.
briefly go over what you want to do.
Great. We would like to add a freestanding garage to our property at 287 Ziffelberg Road. We are asking for a variance because the garage is considered in the front of our property. We had provided some documentation at the last meeting that shows the reasons why the garage is located in its location or proposed location, and we're asking for a variance for that garage.
Okay. Just for the record, I note that we have received communication from the planning board on the Palucci matter. And they find that the area variance raises no significant planning or environmental issues.
Very good.
Received from one of our referrals.
Thank you.
think this was assigned to David for the resolution. But do any of the members, Richard, I'm not sure you were here the last time
No, I
around.
wasn't.
If you have any questions about the application?
No, I
and-
don't.
No? All right. Again, is there anyone here for this matter? Okay. What'll happen is, if it hasn't happened already, I'll check with David. The person who writes the resolution goes out to the property, and we may also go out to the property. I believe on your application, there should be a contact number,
Yes,
and that's a number we can reach you at and set up a meeting to go out and take a look at the property. give a look
Absolutely.
around. Okay, we'll probably do that. I mean, it's a fairly basic application as far as I'm concerned, but that's only my opinion. What about the rest of the gang?
I would agree with you.
Okay, anything else?
Same.
All right, since we don't have any comment from the public, I don't have any more questions. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, requirements for any more information?
No?
Other than the site inspection, which we'll do. At this point in time, I make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. What happens next? At the next meeting, we have 62 days from today to render a resolution. Most likely, we will render a resolution at the next meeting in August, because that's typically the way we roll. We do it within 30 days or so.
Very good.
In the meantime, you will be contacted by one or more members of the zoning board, so we can, look around and all that kind of stuff. Are you usually, is there a better or worse time for you to be up here, or are you up here?
We will accommodate your schedules. Just let us know when is appropriate, and
What's better for you? I mean, we can do weekends and all that kind of stuff, too.
weekends are fantastic,
Okay.
if that's possible. If not, certainly can change our schedules to be here to accommodate.
All right, great. Well, you'll be contacted. We'll come out and meet you, and you can show us around. The area where the garage is supposed to be, is it staked out?
It was.
It was, okay.
It's rained. All that's gone. But we can restake it out. We did do some site preparation, so it's pretty
Okay.
obvious as to where it's going to go.
Okay.
We wanted to make sure we put some gravel down so that, when we were ready, we were not going to
Does the
sink into the
gravel
grass.
give the footprint, basically, of...
It goes right up to where the face of the garage
Okay.
would go, but I can restake it out.
Yeah, restaking is probably helpful, because that'll
Very
help us
easy.
give us a good idea of where it lies on the property. and
Absolutely.
that kind of stuff. So
Great.
I would ask that you do that.
Yep.
And we'll see you in the next couple of weeks.
That sounds fantastic. And Chris, I handed in the green slips for the certified mail. There was one return envelope and the cutout from the Freeman and the affidavit. Okay? So thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Chris, I think we got all the referrals on that one, because if I'm reading the grid correctly, we just needed the response back from the planning board.
Yeah, planning board's the only one.
The only one. Okay, so we're good there. Okay. Next.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next public hearing is Rutgerson. Come on up. Hello.
Hi, I'm John Rutgerson. I reside at 6269 Route 9, and I've applied for a variance to build a barn on the property adjacent to my home.
And let me ask, is there anybody here from the public who is concerned with this application? Okay, we have one? No? Okay. The way this works is that Mr. Rutgerson will briefly detail what he wants to do, and if you have any questions, please ask the questions of him, any questions, concerns, et cetera. This is the public hearing, so you have the opportunity to voice whatever opinion you have. What I do ask is when you do come up, if you could just speak into the microphone, state your name, your address, so we know who you are, and hopefully we can answer whatever questions or concerns you have. So I know we've been through this a million times,
Yes, sir.
or it feels like a million times.
I would like to put a gambrel roof barn, two-story, right next to the garage that the garage is on the lot that my home is on, and I'm requesting a variance for the setback so I can put the barn right next to the garage so it faces out the same way, basically to improve the aesthetics of the property and have some storage, because I operate a small ag operation on the other 2 parcels that I own to the south of my residence.
And as I understand it, it was a 12-foot variance, something along those lines?
No, it's 12 feet between the buildings. It's a 38-foot variance because I have a 50-foot setback there, but I can't get 50 feet on the other side because that's all cultivated and there's a paper road there. So to get it where it makes sense on the property, where it would look the best visually, and to have everything run a little better and be able to store things, it needs to go right next to the garage. I need the 12 feet so that I can drive in between the 2 of them if
Right.
I'm moving stuff around the property.
Okay. And as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's just my recollection.
Sure?
The equipment, you're going to try to store most, if not all, of your equipment on the first floor, and then I think there was going to be a kind of a bathroom area to wash pesticide.
Office and storage and bathroom on the second floor.
Right.
Stairway on the back of the barn. Some of the equipment will be in the barn. Some of the equipment will be parked behind the barn in the garage to create some kind of visual blind from the road so that it's not so obvious. I do
And-
have some implements.
Right, and I understand that there will be no occupation of this.
No.
It's just simply an office and a workplace.
Yeah, it's for
And
the farm.
storage.
And storage, and it's only for your business. There was another concern, I think, about perhaps your son's tree business or something like that.
My son can't run a tree business off of that property. We don't have enough acreage.
Right, but he wouldn't be storing his equipment there. This is solely for the
Chainsaws and
arms.
stuff like that, but no.
Right. And I'm just reiterating some of the
Yeah,
concerns
no,
that came
and I
up before.
appreciate it, because I know you guys have a lot going on.
Yeah, and just trying to make the record on this thing.
Okay.
Did you decide on a size for the barn? One of the discussions we
That's
had
right.
was,
30 by 40 is what I have on the plan.
Right.
so
Okay.
that's what you would be, I know, I asked because it-
Unless I get into a part where I have to cut down a sizable tree, in which case I will make it less than 30 feet wide.
Ah.
I do have some good-sized oaks on that property.
But the intent is 30 by 40 pending any obstruction of that.
Yes,
And if there was any change, it would be less.
correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So it'd be
I
30
don't know
by 40
exactly how
maximum.
deep I can go or exactly how wide it looks like it'll fit, but, I don't want to kill any of the tree. They're big oaks.
Right.
Yeah. I
Okay.
need the shade. I don't want to really disturb much doing this.
Do any of your workers spend the night on your property?
They haven't so far, no. I don't have any this year. You want to come pick?
No, thank you.
Okay.
And could you describe the bathroom that you intend to put?
I gave you a detailed diagram
Just
of
please
it.
if you could just describe for...
It would be a
Richard.
full bath. Would
So
have a
it's more-
shower, a toilet, a sink,
And why would you need a shower?
because there are insecticides and poisons involved, and if I get drenched or somebody else gets overspray on them, I don't want to go into my house.
Would the workers shower?
I believe I provided a note from the state regarding the bathroom in the barn. It makes sense because it's closest to the fields. If there is an accident or somebody gets something in their eye or somebody gets overspray on them, it would make sense for them to be able to run to the barn as opposed to the house to rinse off.
Is it your intention to rent this through Airbnb or a similar?
You asked me this last time, and I
I'm
said
asking you
unequivocally
again.
no.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. This is my lawyer, Sean, because I was a little confused by the fact that the legalities here, so. No, I have no
know
plans
Mr.
on
Kemp
renting
well,
it.
and you should listen to him, and you just did, and that's good. is that we're just trying to make a record. We have to justify, if we give this variance, we have to justify it, and we have to ask the hard questions so that we have a record for the future.
I understand.
So
It
we're not
was
trying to
asked,
harass
it was
you.
asked the last time I was here, too. Same
Sometimes you ask
answer.
a question 2 or 3 times just to make sure you get the same
Oh,
answer.
people change? Yeah, no, I have no
Shockingly,
plans.
yes.
I have no plans on renting any part of the barn.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we've actually had that happen over the years where people give us different answers, and you have not. You've given us
We have a
consistent
president that does that.
answers. We're not going to go there.
I'm just saying, it's the way of the land now, but I'm not cut that
Yeah,
way,
well,
so,
okay.
no,
But there's a reason we asked the question a couple of times, okay?
certainly.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions for the time being, or maybe we can let the gentleman out in the audience have
I
the
have no
floor?
further questions right now.
Okay. Sir, would you like to come on up and... Are you sure? Okay. Mr. Kemp, would you like to be heard?
No, thank you. I just wanted the council, Mr. Ruckertson, real quick.
Okay. All right. Would you like to state your name and address for the record, or you don't have to?
Sure, Mark Stapleton, I live at 17 Mill Street, which is across the field from the property.
Okay. May I ask you, do you have any questions, concerns? Are you for or against, ambivalent?
I came here 2 months ago to listen and find out what the proposal was, because you guys had sent me a registered letter
Right.
informing me about that. And I'm just recalling that 2 months ago, you asked a bunch of questions that should be answered next time, which is this time, and I'm really not hearing any new information, so I'm just puzzled why this hearing is progressing in this fashion.
Because we needed some clarification, and sometimes when we need clarification, instead of closing the public hearing, which starts our time frame for doing a resolution, we will extend the public hearing to make sure that we have all of the information. And this is a very important property. It's on the, gateway, the southern end of the town, and so we want to be particularly careful.
And I think the gateway's technically on the other side of the street, but I understand.
But you understand,
That's a general area.
it's one of the first things you see when you come
Sure it
into
is,
town,
yes.
so it's important.
And I need to get it improved, so
Yeah.
it looks like something.
And I think that if you're putting the equipment in a building and it's not visible from the roadway, that'll happen. And your equipment will last longer,
Yes.
presumably.
Well, you're not going to put all your equipment in the building, right?
Excuse me?
You're not putting all of your equipment in the building. I don't think you
No,
can fit it.
it'll give me a place to maintain stuff, it'll
Right.
give me a place for storage. I mean, I doubled my cultivated space this year. I just don't have places to put it. I have a garage, I have a tent, they're full. It's,
Mhm.
I need the building.
And just for Mr. Stapleton's benefit, there were a series of additional diagrams that were submitted, a floor plan of the upper part of the proposed building, and a variety of information from the, so did not go unnoticed.
On your parking, unless you're submitting it here for our approval, if you decide to put in a macadam parking lot, if you go beyond the space that's normally used, you may or may not have to go to the building inspector to get that approved. And what I'm saying is, you can't just create a giant parking lot there for your equipment unless we know about it now.
Well, it's not the kind of stuff that I would park in a parking lot. It's stuff like tractors and mowers and spreaders and cultivation equipment. It would be put behind the structures. Not on. not
So you wouldn't
paved-
park
paved
any of that agricultural equipment on the front?
That's not my plan. No,
Can you say no?
I can say no.
Good.
Right, because it's important that, obviously, this structure is hopefully going to help the way the area looks by hiding some of that equipment inside it, but the stuff that's not
And
able
behind
to
it.
be put in, we can put it hopefully in the back so you don't see it.
Yes.
And that's your plan, you will be putting it in the
That's my
back.
intent. That's my intent. I think the existing garage is about 20 or 24 feet wide. There's going to be a 12-foot gap and then 30 feet. That's plenty of area to, afford a little bit of cover, so to speak, for the vehicles and equipment that I have. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, if you could come on up and state your name and your address, and then whatever question you have, either to the board or to the applicant.
Sharon Sherrod. I live on Mill Road, so I travel Mill Road in and out of town every day, and he's talking about parking the equipment in the back, and over the past year, the view coming into Rhinebeck on Mill Road, looking at the back of the property, has been pretty awful. There's been a white truck parked there recently, looks like possibly a tree truck, I don't know, because it's back a little bit, but the back of the property has looked pretty awful for the last year. So that needs to be addressed as well, not just the Route 9 view, but the Mill Road view.
There's a bucket truck there. I asked my son to bring it to pull the bittersweet vines out of the oaks in the back. We have quite a few of them.
Is that going to be a permanent fixture, or is it just from time to time when you need his assistance?
From time to time when I need his assistance.
And Sharon's concerns about Mill Road view as you're coming down Mill Road. Is there any way to shield?
What specifically is it that, I mean, I have a big mulch pile back there. I have logs there. And I have a white truck and a Jeep there.
I'm just saying that over the past year, it's been pretty messy looking.
I understand that. I've been working on getting the farm and the buildings and everything, and the variances required for the last 2 years to do this. So I'm sure that when the farm is up, things will become a little more orderly. The stack of blocks, they're fine, they're good in the barn, so they won't be there. And the truck is temporary, because as you know, we have rather huge bittersweet vines trying to kill all the trees in the area. So I don't have any other way to get them out except to have my son to move the bucket truck.
Scott, if I may.
Sure, absolutely, Sean.
I think the entire idea of this project is to improve the property aesthetically and functionally. There have been issues in the past, quote-unquote property maintenance issues that we've tried to address. And part of addressing any of those issues has always been, we understand that there's equipment out there, but we need a place to put it. We'd like to put this barn up. And that's why Mr. Ruckerson is here today and has been here the past couple of times. It's really with an eye towards improving the property, addressing the concern that was just raised specifically, so that people that are entering the town, whether it's from Mill Road or coming up with 9, they're not seeing what they've seen in the past.
Board members, any other questions, concerns?
I think the concern is an expansion of perhaps non-conforming use or commercial use. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. Some people.
Where's the non-conforming commercial use?
Some people like the color blue, some people don't. There seems to be a consensus of aesthetics, though, concerning property. There's a town in the Catskills called Westkill, New York, and it's all these white houses, 1 story, maybe 2 stories high. And they're all painted white, and there's one exception, and it's a property owner who has multiple vehicles outside, and It's gone on and on and on for years. I've been there in a long time. I was not directly involved. But when you enter Westkill, New York, it's so obvious that this one building is so different than the rest of this town. And I think we just want to avoid a problem. It might be an aesthetic problem. It might be it's perception. It might be something that an owner doesn't see, but other people do. And it's not, no one's right and no one's wrong, but it's perception.
But it's an ag use. It's a permissible ag use. So,
Yeah,
you know, this is in conjunction, you know, with that.
right.
And just to be the devil's advocate, Rhinebeck is full of farms.
Right. I think I'm going perhaps beyond my role as a member of this board, is to just be open to, and you have been, to the gentleman that's here, and he was here 2 months ago, and your other neighbors that are here, and you have listened to them, and you've been very courteous with them, and if we continue to work that way, I think it'll all work out.
I think one of the concerns that I've heard repeatedly is about the trucks and the equipment that belong to your son. And so I would just like to have a clear statement that this is not your son's place of business or his equipment storage facility. It's your ag business, and not the place where he leaves his tree trucks when he's not using them for something else.
And that's why I asked you that question right up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not where he stores his vehicles. As I said, there's a vehicle there. The purpose for that vehicle is to pull down some of the pines. I have some problems with the trees. But I do have a dump truck. I do have a pickup truck.
But those are for your business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're
But
talking
just,
about,
you know, just to be, yeah,
Your son's not going to store his stuff.
no.
Yeah.
It's not
No,
related to you.
I think when we visited, there was, I guess what I would call a logging truck was there, full of logs. So,
Yeah, that wasn't there the day after you visited, though, and I wish I could have prevented that, but we just happened to be there.
right, but,
He
That's-
doesn't run his business out of there. Right
Okay.
now, he doesn't have a business. The truck is on loan to remediate the problem with the vines that are choking my oak trees.
and when that's remediated, the truck will presumably leave the premises.
I'm just, again, maybe it's devil's advocate, but if the truck is there for 6 months, then it's not there for a short-term remediation. It's being stored on your property. So it's,
I understand.
you know, so I think, you know, we have to think about how we address these issues in the language around the variance, I think, to reflect what we've heard from your neighbors.
How long do you think the truck will be there? I mean, how long is it going to take you to remediate the problem you have?
I don't know, he's had.
I mean,
it
guesstimate.
For the last couple of days, the truck's been there for about a week. He's 22 years old and very difficult to motivate.
Would it be unreasonable to say the truck will be gone by the end of August?
Yeah, I think that would be totally reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I have other questions.
Okay. Anybody else, questions, concerns? All right, I think we have talked this thing through. And so at this point in time, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've heard this before. We have 62 days from today to render a resolution. I suspect that we will have the resolution ready for reading at the next meeting, which is August 15th, if I recall correctly. Thank you very much for your time and your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Excuse me, what's your,
Sean Kemp.
Kemp? K-E-M-P?
KEMP.
KEMP.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Good to see you, Sean. Thank you. All right. The last order of business we have Well, first, before I get to that, just for the record, we did have the case of Brown on, but apparently, Chris, they requested rescheduled to September, as I recollect, so that's been moved. Okay, next is,
This meeting and next meeting.
next is just a reading of the resolution I prepared in the Von Stoddard matter. Just to let you folks know, I did do a draft of a resolution. I sent it to Kim Garrison. Kim made some edits to it. I incorporated those edits, and I gave the edits to, I gave the edited version to Chris, and she has given you hard copies of that. So you have that in front of you. Dave Tobias had some edits from Chris's version, or Kim's version, excuse me.
Okay.
For the most part, I went through them, I think all of them. For the most part, I'm going to defer to Kimberly as our counsel. There were a couple of typos which were overlooked by both myself and by Kimberly. So with that said,
So which one are we reading?
I am going to read through my version.
Not track changes version.
Yeah, and then we can kind of go through Dave's version of events, okay? So, I'll take this slow, and this is the resolution of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the area variance application of Dunya von Stoddard, case number 962. Paragraph 1, the applicant is Catherine Whitman, and she's the architect for the owner. And the appeal is from the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Administrator's denial letter dated April 5th, 2018. Paragraph 2, property involved. The appeal involves property located at 362 Rhinecliff Road, Rhinebeck, New York. Dave suggested taking out in the Town of Rhinebeck. The only reason I would say keep it is it could have been, I know it's in the Town of Rhinebeck, but conceivably it could be in Rhinecliff or something else. So I deferred to Kim's language on that, which bears the tax parcel number, blah, blah, blah. The applicant's property comprises 5.805 acres and is located in the RA10 zoning district. 3, description of the proposed project. The applicant wishes to add a garage and a fenced swimming pool and pool house. The applicant also intends to add a fence to shield from view an existing generator. 4, number of area variances required. There are 3. Paragraph 5, area variance 1 is a variance from section 125-27A3, requiring that no accessory structure shall project closer to the fronting street. And it looks that, then, looks like there's a typo there, then the principal building. The garage will be positioned in front of the house. And by the way, it is positioned slightly in front of the house. It's not much. Catherine and I were out there, and it's a couple of feet. It's not much.
It's not much.
It's almost parallel. Anyway, area variance number 2, a variance from section 125-27A1. The section allows for a maximum height of 20 feet for an accessory structure. The proposed garage will have a gable roof. Pursuant to section 125-135, height is measured. Kimberly had, I believe, to the average height between the eaves and the ridges of the gable roofs. I wanted to keep her language just because she's our counsel, and I would think she's probably more precise. Nothing against David. The garage height will be 22.5 feet. So measure to the average height between the eaves. I think take out so. The garage height will be 22.57 feet measured to the average height between the eaves and the ridges. Thus, the variance required is 2.75 feet. Area variance 3, a variance from section 12527A4. The code provides that in the RA10 zoning district, roofed or otherwise enclosed accessory structures in the aggregate shall not comprise more than 1,500 square feet or 300 square feet per acre, whichever is less restrictive. In this instance, the property is 5.805 acres, and 300 square feet per acre measures to 1,741.5 square feet. This is less restrictive of the two calculations, and will be used to determine the variance sought. That's all Kim's language, by the way, I'll be very clear. I'm not smart enough to do that. The garage is 1,244 square feet, the pool house is 164 square feet, and the existing studio is 1,051 square feet for a combined square footage. I took out area, that's what I think Dave wants to put in. I just put for a combined square footage of 2,459 feet. The variance required, David wants to add thus. I don't care if we add thus. Anybody have any? Let's give him a thus.
Give him a thus, sure.
I'm
Give him
fine
a
with
thus.
There we go.
Give him a thus.
Gave it to him on the first paragraph.
All right. The ZBA review. Paragraph 6, timeliness of application, timeliness of appeal. The applicant originally filed an appeal with this board on April 4th for area variances 1 and area variances 2 as described above. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of this CEO's decision. And I agree with David taking out appealed from. We don't need that. And thus, the application is timely as required by 125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. 7, acceptance of the application is complete. On April 18th, the board determined the application to be complete. A amended application. You may recall there was an amendment, and I think, Catherine, you were the one who picked up on this. After discussion among the ZBA, it was determined that the project exceeded the aggregate floor area for roofed or otherwise enclosed structures. The appeal was later amended to include area variance number 3 as described above and was received on May 30th, 2018. The applicant has paid the requisite, I just leave our standard language, just take out review, just put, has paid the requisite fees, period. So those two, I don't know that we need the putting a review into the ZBA. Anyway, seeker, after accepting this appeal, the Zoning Board of Appeals determined that this matter should be classified as a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Seeker, because the project involves granting a variance relating to construction of minor accessory residential structures, including garage, swimming pools, and fences pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5C10. No further review is required pursuant to seeker. Okay, referrals and responses. Dutchess County Planning Department, we have determined that this application was not required to be referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development pursuant to 239M of the New York State General Municipal Law in Section 125E of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. I felt that Kim's language was fine there, so I just keep it the way it is. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board, as required by 125E of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law, this application was referred to, wait a minute, the Town of Rhinebeck, how about taking out the, I guess we have, do we have a period there? I'm just trying to see. All right. It looks like there's a comma. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board, period. If that's a comma, change it to a period. And then uppercase, as required by Section 125, 125E of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. This application was referred to the Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board on April 18th, 2018, and the Town Planning Board responded on May 14th, 2018. The Planning Board recommended the ZBA rely upon its own study of the facts in deciding the application in accordance with criteria and procedures set forth in the Town Code. And it's a couple of sections are cited, including input of the neighbors. David wanted to put in if offered. I don't know that that's required. What do you guys think? I don't think there was anything offered on this. I just as soon kind of like leave it out.
Right.
The planning board also noted noted the applicant required site plan approval and/or issuance of special permits by the planning board. The planning board found that there were no significant planning or environmental issues, so yeah, that should be added. I don't think that was in the original, there. The Town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board, we determined that this application was not required to be referred to the Town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board for the reasons set forth there. The Town of Rhinebeck Water Advisory Committee, we determined that this application did require referral to the Town of Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Committee, WAC, pursuant to Chapter 118 of the Town of Rhinebeck Town Code. We received a response from the Waterfront Advisory Committee dated June 19th, 2018. The WAC noted concerns regarding the proposed location of the swimming pool and pool house within the wetlands buffer. However, the location of the pool and the pool house are not before the ZBA and in this review. And this is Kim's language. The only structure that is being substantially reviewed before the ZBA is the garage. The WAC made reference to a previous report conducted in 2015 in which the garage location was questioned. However, that garage was never built, and this current garage is proposed for a different location than what had been presented in 2015. As I recollect, the garage was actually kind of on the other side of the property, but it wasn't where it's proposed now. No further comments were raised about the garage, except that it may be located within the wetlands 100-foot buffer. Questions were also raised regarding the accuracy of the wetlands delineation. However, we believe these concerns are more properly dealt with by the Planning Board in its review of the wetlands permit, and anticipate that the Planning Board will address the issues set forth in the June 19th, 2018 review. Again, that's all, as you can tell, Kimberly's doing. So I appreciate her adding that. Site visit. On May 22nd, 2018, Scott Bergen and Catherine J. Clark, ZBA members, visited the applicant's property and the surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, setting, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The purpose of this visit was to observe the property and its surrounding area, and he added ing, and I think that's correct, to surrounding, to inform the board members for the upcoming decision. The site visit was conducted to gather information, and no business or deliberations were conducted during the site visit. 12, public hearing. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held at the Town Hall by this board on May 16th, 2018. During the course of the public hearing, it became apparent that a third variance would be required relating to maximum square footage of accessory structures. Accordingly, the public hearing was continued he suggests 2 instead of 4, and I think he's right. Was continued to June 20th, 2018. The applicant amended the application on May 31st, 2018 to include area variance number 3. No one appeared from the public to comment on the application. The public hearing was closed on June 20th. All right, findings of fact and conclusions of law. Consideration of 5 factors in balancing test. In our review of the variances sought, we have considered the 5 factors required by Section 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning laws as follows. A, if the variances are granted, will it cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause detriment to nearby properties? We find that the question is no. The property is located in a rural area. To the south are woods. To the east, there are also woods. Significantly, and I think this is very significant, to the north and west, there is a commercial business known as the Butcher Boys. The commercial business has multiple buildings, including garages and multiple trailers and other heavy equipment. The addition of the requested structures.
Isn't it just one?
What's that?
Isn't it just one structure?
Well, you have the pool house, you have the, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you have the pool house, I guess you consider the pool, and you also consider the garage. But the addition of the requested structures, I prefer to keep it the same, will only enhance the existing structures and enhance the character of the neighborhood and nearby properties. None of the structures will be visible from the roadway or by any neighbors except possibly the commercial property. My only question, again, I hesitate to change the language that has been approved by Kim. And aside from that, it says the addition of the requested structures is expected to enhance. I don't think it's expected to enhance. I think it will enhance. Because if you go out to that property and you see the Butcher Boys and all that kind of, this is going to enhance the property. That's my opinion. So that's why I wanted to be more forceful instead of being more equivocal. Anyway, B, can the benefit sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the applicants to pursue other than area variances? We determined the answer to this question is no. The location of the proposed garage is logical given the placement of the house and the existing driveway. And it really is, if you go out there and do a site, it makes sense for it to be where it is. Also, the placement of the pool and the pool house are logically correct given the topography of the property, the location of the existing structures, and the property as a whole. None of the structures will be visible from the roadway or any neighbors except possibly the commercial property. Are the requested area variances substantial? We find that the answer to this question is no. With regard to area variance 1, the garage structure will only be slightly closer to the roadway than the principal building. And again, Catherine and I saw where that was, and it's a couple of feet maybe, Catherine, if that?
Yeah.
Not much. And the roadway is so much farther down the road, down the driveway. With regard to variance 2, the area variance is only 2.57 feet. With regard to area variance 3, while the requested variance is 717.5 square feet, given the size of the property and the nature of the existing buildings, we find that the variance is not substantial. And I thought this was important. Even collectively, if you take all three of them together, the three variances are not substantial. D, will the proposed area variances have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find that the answer to this question is yes. Now, I originally said no. I deferred to Kim, and she felt the answer to this was yes, so I'll defer to her. There are wetlands present on the property, and the WAC has noted concerns regarding the proposed location of the swimming pool and pool house, which are not presently before this review. A concern was also raised that the garage may be within the wetlands buffer. However, it was undetermined if the garage was actually within the buffer due to questions raised on the accuracy of the wetlands delineation. The applicant is required to obtain a wetlands permit before the planning board, and these concerns are more properly dealt with the planning board in its review of a wetlands permit. That's all her language on that, and again, she's the land use lawyer, so I defer to her judgment. Is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to the question is yes. However, the proposed structures are proposed to be situated in the most reasonable and logical place given the topography and layout of the property. And I accepted Dave's addition without the word likely. and will have no adverse impacts on the neighbor, because I don't believe they will have any adverse impact whatsoever on the property and the surrounding neighborhood. Result of the balancing test, based upon our analysis of the 5 factors discussed above, we find the balancing test favors granting of the area variances sought. Before I go on to the resolution language, does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments about the findings under the 5 factors? Okay.
I think I would have tended to have agreed with you on D, that I would have made the answer no.
Yeah, I think her concern is because the WAC came back, because there were some questions about where the wetlands were and whether markers had been removed and things like that. I agree with you. I mean, for me, first of all, most of the wetlands it's a man-made pond.
Right.
And then it was very unclear, if you look if you're looking at the house on the left-hand side, the side that borders the butcher block, that's another wetlands area, but I mean, I walked by there and I was like, where's the wet? I mean, it didn't, but again, I defer to her expertise, so I appreciate you siding with me, but I feel comfortable.
We'll both defer.
We'll defer, I'll defer to her. And we came to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty easy application, given its location. Anyway, now therefore be it resolved, based upon all the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1, the ZBA grants the following area variances. 1, from 125-21A3, requiring that no accessory structure shall project closer to the fronting street than the principal building. 2, from 125-27A1, requiring that the accessory structure be no more than 20 feet in height. And 3, from 125-27A4, requiring that in the RA10 zoning district, roofed or otherwise enclosed accessory structures in the aggregate shall not comprise more than 1,500 square feet or 300 square feet per acre, whichever is less restrictive as set forth in paragraph 6 of the resolution. Section 2, the granting of the variances does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and/or approvals, including but not limited to a wetlands permit and special use permit from the planning board. 3, the area variances shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of this resolution. The proposed structures, should be plural, must be constructed in conformity with the application and plan submitted. Section 4, the granting of these variances shall be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment of the town of Rhinebeck or any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application and compliance with Article 14. Fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. These variances shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Questions, concerns, comments? Everybody in a coma? In all honesty, I thought this was a pretty easy one, especially given its proximity to the butcher block. There's woods as far as the eye can see all the way surrounding it, and it's a pretty good sized parcel. If what the applicant has done in the past is any representation of what they're going to do in the future, they're going to do a nice job, because we approved previously I think it was like an artist studio, and they did a beautiful job with that. Really nice. So I had no hesitation with this, but any comments or concerns? All right. With that, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution with the edits that we've gone over. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. And Chris, can you poll the board?
Yes, Irving?
Yes.
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 Okay, that's it as far as our agenda. Is there any other topics that we should know about, Chris, or?
What, if anything, do we know about the, just had a memory lapse. No, the building that burned down. Eveready, yeah. So there was an email, and,
That's.
There was a letter.
Yeah.
I lost it. That planning board got that email.
okay, all right,
Forwarded to me. Nothing's forwarded to me yet.
okay, thank you,
And whatever happens on that, I'll recuse myself as I have in the past.
good, all right.
So, all right, with
Should-
that,
should
I'll...
we
enter-
have-
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're done.
We can entertain a motion to adjourn and still talk
Yep,
here.
I move to adjourn the meeting?
And I second it.
All
All in
right.
favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Stay.
All right.
Okay.